So this is going to be the 100% proven way of how to become the worst version of yourself, and how some of you may be on this path now and you don't even realize it, right? So before we even jump into this, a lot of you guys are probably going to be like, Isaiah, what's wrong with you? Why are you making a video like this? Like, why are you putting us down? I'm not making this video to put you guys down. I'm not making this video to kind of like poke fun at any of you guys or anything like that. I'm just making this video because a lot of you guys could be on this path, the same path that I was on in the past, and you don't even realize it. And I want you to actually realize this so you don't make the mistake that I made in the past, right? So we can start from the beginning. Like when I first started in this journey of like who I was as a person and like how my spiral started was when I started looking in the mirror and realizing that I wasn't really happy with, who I saw in the mirror. I wasn't really happy with the version of Isaiah that was looking back at me almost at all, right? Like I pretty much hated myself. I was freaking 90 pounds. I was skinny. I was obviously insecure. And like I said in the beginning, like I was depressed about this, right? And, being younger and not really knowing exactly what to do, I just kind of victimized myself. I kind of put myself in an echo chamber of degrading thoughts, you could say, and every single time I would think that, it would be reinforced by my actions, by someone else's words, or just by, the actual reality of whatever it was that I was dealing with, right? And so an example of this could be like, oh, I hate myself. I'm skinny. I don't like who I am. And then this could be like someone making a comment while I was at school, or someone making a comment at like a family reunion, or, at a restaurant, whatever it may be. Because like when I was in this position where I was feeling this way and I was small and just not happy with who I was, I was getting comments everywhere I went. Like no matter where I went, it was whether it was the restaurants that I was going to with my family reunions, like family members at home, my friends, quote unquote, like no matter where I was, what I was doing, who I was around, I was always hearing some sort of comment that gave this echo chamber more and more power, right? And because I wasn't making a change to kind of break out of this, I was stuck in this echo chamber. So this led to me coping in unhealthy ways, like listening to depressing music, watching depressive content, like rotting in bed, like crying myself to sleep, all of this stuff, like all of these comments, all of the things that I was already thinking about myself just kind of bundled up more and more and more. And my self-hatred grew more and more and more. And because I wasn't doing anything about it, I was just stuck in here, right? Like, and this is a position that some of you guys could be in right now. Like, you guys are in this echo chamber, and this is how you feel on the inside. It's just like fill up just self-hatred, feeling sorry for yourself. You're not doing anything about it. And then it just kind of compounds and compounds until it gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And then before you know it, it gets so bad that you kind of get to the point to where I was at, to where like, one, you're depressed, of course, but you feel like the only way that you can kind of get out of this cycle is just by like ending your life. Right? Like, I'm not going to spill out the whole word because I don't know how YouTube is about that stuff, but this is a position that I was in. Like, this is obviously a more in a nutshell kind of version, or like a more compact version. But, it all started with something that is very, very obvious to see. It came down to my mindset and my lack of action, right? And you guys are going to see, and I'm typing on my mouse, so like handwriting is going to be pretty bad. But as you guys can see, like in this example that I just kind of drew out really quick, when I was in the position where I hated who I was and I was depressed, and like I didn't respect myself, I didn't like anything about myself, my mindset didn't do anything to help. And then my lack of action, or my action, which was lack of action, forced me to stay in this position, right? And this isn't just about the physique. This isn't just about, like, oh, I got to get bigger, this, and that, because this is the same thing that I did when I was in college, right? Let's go back like a year ago when I was still at Rockhurst. Like, I went from being 90 pounds and then being stuck in this echo chamber. I had I didn't have any sort of physique at all. Like, my physique was terrible. I was just skin and bones, and, I was insecure about that. But the reason why I'm telling you guys, like, this is like the proven way to become the most loser, worst version of yourself, whatever you want to call it, is because I got to a point, even to when I did have like a better physique. Like I was probably like around like 160 to like 165 pounds. I was pretty strong, had a solid physique, and I was like happy with my physique, right? I was happy with my physique. Freaking draw out some quads and some freaking biceps. I don't know, right? So like I was happy with my physique, but I still wasn't happy. Like I still was on a similar path that I was before, but this time it wasn't just because of the physique or people were bullying me. It was because of this exact same thing that I was struggling with beforehand. This started going down because before, I was just focusing on school. I was going to the gym, blah, 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 had a pretty decent routine. But the moment that I went to college, it got disrupted and it put me in a position to where, I wasn't even focused on becoming this version of me or this better version of me. I was just doing stupid things, right? Like I started neglecting my self development as a whole, like I said. And because of this, it put me in the exact same spot that I was in, those years ago when I was 90 pounds depressed, like just like a version of myself that I didn't want to be, to, being like this bigger version of me, right? And mind you, like this is all gonna like come back full circle because when I initially started, I thought, okay, if I just get here, all this would be fine. But, I took years and years and years to get upwards to this point, and we're about to get right back to this exact same spot, and I'm gonna tell you guys why. Right? So like I said, when I went to college, um, I just started losing it. Like I just started practicing bad habits. I started surrounding myself with the wrong people. So just bad habits. I had a terrible environment. And because I started noticing this in myself, I kind of started to feel bad about it. And I started to get a little bit down, right? I started to get a little bit sad about the fact that I was kind of letting myself go. But other than me taking action that would have like broke me out of this, I decided to cope in the wrong way, right? Decided to cope by, continuing to surround myself with these people, continuing to keep myself in the party environment and, like doing drugs and coping with just like terrible things like lust and, partying and X, Y, and Z, like the typical freaking college dude stuff, right? That's like pushed and normalized. But because of this, you know, it just caused another echo chamber to form. This time, other than it being like degrading thoughts about my body physically, I was looking in the mirror and I saw myself with this physique, right? And I'm not going to draw this out like because this is getting a little bit more serious into the video. Like I saw myself with this physique, yet I still felt the same way that I felt before. Like I was still that version of me that I was back then. And I thought this physique would fix me. I thought this physique would make me feel better. I thought this physique would fix everything, right? And the reason why I said this comes full circle is because before I knew it, I was back in this echo chamber. And it wasn't because of this. It wasn't because, I was 90 pounds. No, I was packed on a pretty significant amount of size. I was happy with my physique. Why was I still feeling this way? Why was I still getting sucked back to this echo chamber? It all came back to this exact same thing. The mindset was not there. That internal transformation started to happen, but on the wrong side of the spectrum. And before I knew it, I was right back to where I was before, right? So I was doing drugs. I was going to parties. I was not practicing the right habits. I was kind of just living in a way that was just reinforcing this bad mindset that I had and reinforcing these bad habits and then also solidifying this feeling that I had in my mind. And it was just like a constant cycle, making it worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Before I knew it, not only was I like depressed and, suicidal, I also was just kind of destroying my life, right? Because of, like I said, my self development and my mindset and my habits and my just internal transformation overall was being neglected. And because of that, it caused me to cope with the things that got me in the position to begin with. So you guys can see, and this is obviously like a very, very nutshelled version of my story, but I didn't want to like drag this out too much. But I hope you guys are able to see that it all starts with this internal, right? It all starts, one sec, it all starts with, this internal battle and whether or not you decide to do this and change this, thus changing your whole identity overall, right? And it's just like a downward spiral, or it's like a downward staircase. And some of you guys might be on this staircase right now. And we can look at it like this. Let's say some of you guys might be in the position that I was in, right? Like not happy with yourself. Okay. And, other than turning in the right direction, you cope by not taking action, right? And now you're down here. It's crazy stick figure. Hey, this is an art class. Don't judge me. But now you're down here, right? Like you already don't like yourself. So you don't take action. Mistake number one, right? You don't take action, so you feel worse about yourself. Okay, cool. You feel worse about yourself. So now you're coping with the fact that you don't like the version that you're becoming by doing things that make you feel better in the moment. That could be drugs, it could be parties, it could be whatever it may be. For me, it was drugs and parties, right? And now you realize the person that you're becoming, you're not happy with that. And it makes you even more sad. So other than you turning around, disrupting the pattern, you keep it going and you double this or you 4x it, right? To continue to feel better about yourself. But then now, because of this, you're neglecting other areas of your life and it makes you feel more down, right? So this could lead to 10x in the bad habits, whatever it may be. And then before you know it, you keep going down this staircase more and more, and you're not only not happy with your physique, not happy with the man that you see in the mirror, not happy with your habits, you're just miserable. And I spelled miserable wrong. I might have, whatever. But, and you guys can see that this isn't just a staircase. This is like an actual cycle that continues to feed itself over and over and over and over and over. And eventually you get put in this hole to where you almost feel like you can't get out of it. All because of this exact same thing that started this whole little rant that I've been on this whole time, right? And you guys can see this is exactly how people become the worst version of themselves, and just how sneakily it happens. And if they allow it to continue to happen, it's just only going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And the worse it gets, the worse their habits become to cope with the fact that it got worse. And because of that, the more miserable they become. And because of that, the less action they take. And the less motivated they become to actually do something to change that. And this could go on for months, years, or, some people may be dealing with this for their whole life. But the thing that's going to stop this is when you decide that you've had enough and you disrupt this pattern by, it's going to blow your mind, simply taking action to change that, right? And you taking action is going to help with your mindset. And then before you know it, other than you being in a downward spiral of becoming the worst version of yourself, you doing this is going to redirect you right here. This is you to going the other way and slowly but surely becoming a better version of yourself, becoming more secure in yourself, practicing better habits for yourself. And it's going to be the complete opposite of this, because other than you surrounding yourself with the wrong people, you're going to be surrounding yourself with the right people. Rather than you practicing the wrong habits, you're going to be solidifying the right habits. And by you doing this, you're going to start taking action on this every single day. And before you know it, you're in a significantly better spot than you ever would have thought you would have been in. Like me in this example, right? And I know this might not be the best presentation. I'm still going to post it anyway, because I know if you guys watch this, you'll be able to understand at least something, right? And kind of lost track of what I was saying there, but biggest thing that I want you guys to take away from this is, like, this is my story in a nutshell, bro. Like, I went from being 90 pounds, insecure about myself, hating myself, depressed, suicidal, blah blah blah, to quote unquote fixing it through the gym. But my problem was, I thought that the gym was going to be the thing that fixed it, and that was it. But then I started neglecting my development internally, and then it brought me to the same spot. Ended up being depressed and suicidal again, until I decided to make this change that redirected me the right way, right? And biggest thing I want you guys to take away from this is that, this isn't just about the physique. This isn't just about, X, Y, and Z. This is about, being the version of yourself that you should be, and how easy it is to become the worst version of yourself. And if you notice that you're like kind of on this path right now to where you're like coping with drugs, you're surrounding yourself with the wrong people, you're doing this, you're doing that, I'm here to tell you, like, from experience, you can get out of that. Like, all it takes is this. All it takes is action and the commitment to actually make the internal transformation and redirect those habits. And before you know it, you're a completely different person, feeling 100% better. And then you're going to be impacted in other areas of your life. Like, if you're able to be more disciplined, you're going to be able to take more action in your relationships and your work life, family life, whatever it may be. And if you're able to do that, then it's going to help you in literally every single area of your life. And it's going to be on the opposite end of the spectrum if you don't commit to actually making the change. And then before you know it, like, you might just think, oh yeah, my habits are slipping a little bit. I don't have the best mindset. Oh, I'm not able to really show up for myself like I used to be. Before you know it, you're not going to be able to show up for yourself in your relationship. You're not going to be able to change. You're not going to be able to do this and do that. And then you could be 40 years old and you have a kid that hates you because you're fat and you do like crack on the sidewalk, right? Like, hope you guys are able to understand what I'm saying here. Like, this is a more like less serious video, even though it's on a pretty serious topic. But I just want you guys to know this. Like, this is how it happens, and I want you guys to avoid this, and to actually take some action towards becoming the best version of yourself. And that action could simply just be, cutting off a couple of friends, quote unquote, that aren't good for you, getting a gym membership, getting a coach. I might know a guy. Not gonna point any fingers or anything, but I mean, I heard, if you're skinny, this guy can like maybe help you just a little bit. But like I said, I'm not gonna point any fingers. But anyway, like, on a serious note, guys, like, man, this is a more chill video, more like unserious one, but this is real life. This is how you become the worst version of yourself, guaranteed. And if you're on this path right now and you don't do anything about it, before you know it, it's going to be much, much, much worse. I'm telling you guys that from experience. So, different kind of video today. Kind of feel like I was rambling on for a little bit. May have not been the best structure, but if you've gotten to the end of this, thank you first and foremost, because I don't know how good this video is going to be. But also, if you're skinny and you are actually wanting to make a change and become that best version of yourself, then click the link in the description, or don't. I don't really care. As long as you're able to benefit from this in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, you can book a call with me. I'm obviously a coach. I help skinny guys like make transformation physically, but also internally. But yeah, man, this is how you become a version of yourself that you hate, how to become a loser, and how to avoid that and redirect exactly where you're going, or exactly the path that you're on. So love you guys. Big J loves you too. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.